Number 6. Makima, Chainsaw Man. She could have rewritten the world like a manuscript. Instead, she settled for a leash. Makima's introduction in Chainsaw Man is quiet, a warm smile in a ruined alley. But that's the point. She doesn't explode into the story. She seeps in. From her first appearance, she owns Denji, not just physically, existentially. Her words shape his sense of worth. Her approval becomes his oxygen. Behind that soft voice is the control devil, a concept weaponized. She isn't about destruction. She's about submission. Every handshake, every favor, every order she gives is binding. Not with magic, but something worse. Need. The terrifying part? She's not trying to destroy humanity. She's trying to make it better. Her better. A world without fear, without chaos, achieved by absolute control. She could have erased entire species. She did. She could have turned every nation into a kennel. She almost did that too. But she held back. Methodical, precise, patient, playing the long game with a god-tier threat arsenal under her coat. Makima's restraint isn't mercy. It's engineering. She doesn't want ashes. She wants obedience. That's why her version of the apocalypse has rules. Why she smiles while orchestrating mass slaughter. Because she's not breaking the world. She's fixing it. And to her, freedom is the disease. Her fall doesn't come from weakness. It comes from underestimating what lies beneath loyalty. It's not a hero that breaks her. It's something hungrier. Something that loved her too much to fear her. A villain with the power to delete nightmares, but who chose to curate them instead. Number 5. Garou, One Punch Man. Monsters don't get redemption arcs. Garou tried to become one and still flinched. He enters One Punch Man as a martial artist with a god complex, a man obsessed with villains, but sharper than most heroes. His technique is brutal, adaptive, and beautiful. He studies every opponent mid-fight, weaponizes their patterns, and evolves on the spot. What starts as street-level beatdowns snowballs into something cosmic. By the time he reaches his apex, Cosmic Fear Garou. He's hijacked divine power, mimics Saitama's strength, and threatens space-time itself. We're not talking about destroying cities. We're talking multiversal implications. He sees all timelines, understands quantum cause and effect, becomes a walking paradox of power and regret, and then he stops. He could have erased humanity in minutes. The power's right there. Instead, he hands the formula over to the hero who can undo it, willingly. Because even at his most corrupted, Garou still wants meaning, not genocide. His rage is righteous, but his conscience is intact. That's the paradox. A villain so powerful he could end reality, but too human to let it die. In the end, Garou isn't defeated by strength. He's undone by empathy. The last thing he wants is to become the very force that erased his ideals. A monster who touched godhood and flinched. Number 4. Shigaraki, My Hero Academia. Decay was just the opening act. Tamura Shigaraki starts as a disheveled nuisance, all hands and impulse. But over time, he evolves into something else. A perfect weapon. A legacy. A vessel. After the surgical horror show that fuses him with All for One's full power, he becomes a walking extinction event. Not metaphorically, literally. A single touch now reduces cities to dust. Entire frontline divisions of heroes get blinked into rubble in seconds. And yet, he hesitates. It's not indecision, it's fragmentation. His mind fractures between his will and the old tyrant's control. Tamura wants destruction on his own terms. All for One wants a new kingdom. The result is a tug of war inside a body that could crack the planet. Even in his most devastating moment, during the Paranormal Liberation War, Shigaraki spares some lives. Not out of mercy, but confusion. There's still a boy inside the monster, clawing at the steering wheel. Heroes he could have annihilated get to breathe, because he's not fully decided whether to end the world or own it. His decay quirk, boosted to divine levels, isn't the true threat. It's the war in his psyche, the blurred line between identity and inheritance. In another timeline, Tamura finishes the job. The reason he doesn't? He's too busy fighting himself. A villain who became a weapon, but didn't pull the final trigger. Number 3, Yuak, Bleach, Thousand-Year Blood War. He woke up, and the clock started dying. Yuak is not just a villain, he's a reset button with a heartbeat. The son of the Soul King, the origin of Quincy power. His breath grants life. His touch reclaims it. From the moment he re-enters the world, time itself becomes a resource he controls, and then deletes. The Almighty isn't just foresight, it's edit access to the future. If he sees it, he can rewrite it. During the 1,000-year Blood War, Yuak blitzes through Soul Society like a nuclear judge. Captains fall. Pillars of the world order crumble. He's not posturing, he's restructuring reality. And he doesn't even try hard. Most of his carnage feels like housekeeping. Entire factions exist on borrowed time, and he knows the expiration date. But here's what cements him on this list. He wins. Briefly. Fully. He kills gods. Breaks the balance between life and death. Becomes the new axis of the cosmos. And still, it doesn't last. Not because someone overpowers him, but because of a single crack in his omniscience. He could have sealed every timeline, chosen annihilation, but arrogance and that one blind spot undo him. Yuak didn't fail because he lacked strength. He failed because he believed in inevitability. And inevitability doesn't flinch. It doesn't adapt. It just waits to be undone. A villain who saw all outcomes, except the one where he lets it go. Number 2, Ryuk, Death Note. He dropped the apocalypse for fun. Ryuk isn't the villain of Death Note. He's worse. He's the enabler. A god of death who tosses the most lethal object in fiction, the Death Note, into the human world. Not out of malice, but boredom. He doesn't guide, he doesn't warn, he just watches and smiles. From the second light Yagami picks it up, Ryuk becomes a passive executioner. Every name written, every life ended, every dictator or criminal deleted, it all traces back to Ryuk's choice to drop the notebook. But that's the thing. He never lies about it. He tells Light, plainly, "I'll be entertained, that's all." He could have ended the game at any time, snatched the notebook back, written a name, or never dropped it at all. But he lets the world unravel so he can enjoy the show. Even when Light becomes a global threat, even when entire governments tremble at Kira's name, Ryuk just chuckles. Because for him, none of this matters. Humanity's rules? Meaningless. Morality? Flimsy. Death? Routine. And when the end finally comes, when Light is cornered, desperate, broken, Ryuk reminds us who was in control the whole time. Not Light, not L. Just a god with no stake in the game. A villain who held the reset button and chose popcorn instead. Number 1, Johann Liebert, Monster. No quirks, no death notes, no armies, just one man and a smile that sank souls. Johann Liebert is the final form of subtle annihilation. No powers, no supernatural edge, just intellect, charisma, and a will calibrated for erasure. From his first quiet massacre as a child to his adult manipulation of governments and serial killers, Johann doesn't just end lives, he unthreads identities. Entire communities self-destruct in his wake. He creates monsters without lifting a hand. The terror of Johann isn't what he does. It's what he could have done. He studies human nature like a surgeon, understands how to start genocides with conversations. In Prague, Berlin, Munich, wherever he moves, people vanish, systems collapse, suicides spike. He has the means and knowledge to cause a global societal unraveling, but he doesn't. He doesn't want the world to burn. He wants to prove it's already dead. That humanity, left to its own devices, is always one whisper from collapse. His greatest weapon is belief, not in himself, but in your lack of meaning. Johann is the abyss with a face. And the scariest part? He doesn't need to lift a finger. Just suggest the right thing. To the wrong person. He could have become a dictator, a doomsday cult leader, a terrorist mastermind. Instead, he chose to become a ghost. His restraint is more horrifying than his actions, because it's proof he knew how far he could go, and chose to leave us intact. A villain who stood at the edge of total collapse, and smiled as we dangled there. They didn't fall. They paused. From Makima's psychological chokehold to Johann's silent apocalypse, these 6 villains held the power to wipe the board. And for a moment, the world knew it. What makes them terrifying isn't what they destroyed. It's what they chose not to. Their limits weren't power-based. They were philosophical, psychological, sometimes even petty. And that hesitation, that one heartbeat of restraint, it rewrote everything. Because power unchecked is scary. But power unused by choice is the stuff of real nightmares. Which villain do you think came closest to actual Armageddon? Don't forget to subscribe to Nonagon for more epic anime breakdowns. We cover the strongest, the smartest, and the scariest. One endgame at a time.